Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard Burke, Executive Director of Western Liberty Network, and this is another of the continuing series of Saturday trainings via Zoom from Western Liberty Network. Today, we're going to be talking about things that you can do to get ready to run for local office. If you live in Oregon, your filing deadline is in March and your election is in May. It is not too early to start working on your campaign. If you live in Washington, your filing deadline is in May. So, that's kind of right around the corner too. So there are some things you can do, and we will get to those in just a little bit. First of all, I need to point out that Western Liberty Network is a 501c3 educational organization. And as such, we do not endorse or oppose any political party candidate, even the ones we train, or legislation or ballot measure. And sometimes opinions are expressed on our venue, and they may not necessarily represent those of Western Liberty Network and are the responsibilities of those who make them. Now, I'm going to go over a couple of things real quick before we start in. I'm going to share the screen. And here you see the Western Liberty Network website. Here you can get to this website by doing westernliberty.com or westernlibertynetwork.org, and this is the home page you get. At the top, you'll always see the things that we are working on currently. Here, we've got our conference on February 4th. We've got a great conference with 20 breakout sessions. You can learn everything you need to be successful in 2023. We're teaching you how to run for office, how to serve when you get there. We're providing training on how to lobby your legislature, training on school choice issues, and training on how to manage campaigns. And here you see a picture of a number of our guests. We're going to have 3 assemblies, and the speakers are Kurt Volker, former NATO ambassador and former presidential envoy to Ukraine. That's going to be really interesting for people. And Cesar Ybarra, who's head of policy for FreedomWorks at their national DC office. Christina Soltis, who is a member of the Slavic Vote Organization in Washington, who won election to the Covington City Council, and then yours truly and other people who are going to be training throughout the day. If you want to see a full agenda, just click here and you will get a full agenda. You can download it, distribute it, print it, whatever you want to do. Just take a look at it. You can take a look at that. And if you want to help us get the word out about this conference, you can click here and download our promotional flyer. And you can photocopy that. You can print it. It's a PDF file. You can email it, do whatever you want to do. It's $125 for the entire day, and that includes a quality hot buffet lunch. You'll get a attendee packet packed full of training materials, access to all events, and you'll also be into all the speakers. The night before, we will be having a reception with speakers and attendees. It's a great icebreaker. It's always a lot of fun. And you click here to register now. And if you decide to register and click there, you'll see the event. It's an Eventbrite event, and you can buy tickets. You can also get your hotel room. We have a group rate at the Embassy Suites, and you can buy your general ticket here or your hotel room and whatever you need. And there's also secured overnight parking there. It's at the Embassy Suites Airport Hotel. So that is what's going on. Now, apart from promoting our event, if you decide you want additional training, you can go to our training tab. If you take a look, you'll see first of all here, sort of a description of the kinds of trainings we provide at Western Liberty Network. And by we, I mean myself and a stable of about 20 volunteer trainers. Here you see companion documents you can download. You can click on any of these and download these documents. They're meant to be provided with the live training, but they stand up on their own as well. And if you click the bottom one, you can download all of our training documents in one file. It saves a lot of clicking. Go down a little further, and these are the recorded Saturday sessions on a variety of topics. We've got over 2 years of trainings here. We've done 33 of these in 2022 alone. We did a bunch in 2021. So you can basically, by picking the topics you like and downloading the documents you like, you can design your own custom training session. So we encourage people to do that. If you decide you like what you see with Western Liberty Network and want to support us with a tax-deductible donation, go to support WLN. And from here, via PayPal, you can make one-time contributions, or you can make recurring monthly contributions. We love those and make it easy to budget. But we're grateful for whatever support we can get, and as always, contributions to Western Liberty Network are fully tax deductible. So with that, I'm going to go back to the home page and stop the share. And so you should see my mug up on the screen again. And we're going to go into the things you can do today. Now, Callista, let me ask you, are you planning to run for office in the spring?
I am considering it, but the county I live in is one, pretty small, and two, I'm just outside of the city limits. So the positions that I'm in district for that are going to be, I don't know that any of them are going to actually be on the May ballot, because we just elected our commissioners this last go around, and the school district, that's my zone, is not up this time. So I'm learning for when my time comes, but I don't know that there's any position I qualify for yet.
Well, you know, this is the year where a lot of special districts are up for election, and you're probably eligible for several of those. I'm talking Water Board, Park and Rec Board, Fire and Rescue Board, all of these different ones, Cemetery Control Board. No position is too small. And if you think you're going to run for a higher position in 2 years, then run for one of these offices, get elected to it. You can have something on prior government experience when you run for the higher position. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything is better than nothing, or putting taxpayer, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a taxpayer, but but if you have government experience, it makes it easier to actually win election when you're running for a higher profile post. So do think about running. Contact your election office and simply ask them, what positions would I be eligible to run for in the May special district elections? And that's what you do in Oregon. There's called special district elections. And I'd get the paperwork for all of them, and then fill it out for all of them, and kind of watch and see who runs for the different positions. And at 4:50 p.m. on filing deadline, see if there's one that nobody has filed for. And if there is one, hand over the documents. And if there's one, you know, a well-known incumbent is running for, maybe avoid that one. If another person is running but is not so well known, and there's no unopposed positions, go for that one. You know, it's great if you can run unopposed. If you run unopposed for a local position or a mosquito control board, anything like that, run a full campaign as if you had opposition. Give yourself the experience of running a race and making mistakes. Get a campaign team to help you, and run a full campaign. Let them get experience in running a campaign, in working a campaign. If you run unopposed, it's a free play. You can't lose. You can make any number of mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and you're not going to be penalized. But run a campaign. And you can also tell your voters that even though you're running unopposed, you don't take their votes for granted. And they appreciate that. And a lot of people remember that. So think about finding out what positions you can run for, get the paperwork for all of them, strategically enter a race, and run a full campaign, even if you don't think, or even if you don't draw an opponent. Now, let's see here. I'm gonna go to gallery view here. There we go. There is a number of things you can do that you can do right now. And this will save you valuable time you will need when things get a little more hectic. The first thing you can do is file your political action committee. Even if you're not going to spend a lot of money, file a political action committee and get the experience of forming one. There is a file you can download. And while I'm talking here, let me see if I can download that. I thought I did already. It's in Oregon. It is called the SEL 220 form. Yep, I found it. And I'm downloading it now. And when I post the recording of this, I'll have a link so you can download that form. SEL 120 form, I'm going to, if I can find where it loaded here. There it is. I'm going to share the screen and show you this form. Okay, this is the SEL 220 form. Statement of organization for a candidate committee. And here, if you're filing for the first time, it's original, name of your committee. You know, in your case, it might be Friends of Callista Songstad or Songstad for Oregon or anything like that. You can name your committee anything you want, but it should be something that makes it easy for people to write checks to. Your street address, it can be your home. Information about you, the candidate, occupation, just basic stuff. The treasurer information. Now, this is important. Get a treasurer. The candidate legally can be the treasurer for your political action committee, but don't do that. Get someone else to be the treasurer. The reason why is to insulate the candidate from any good faith mistakes that are made. If a mistake is made doing campaign finance reporting, you know, it's bad enough if that becomes public and, you know, your committee is fined. But it's, you know, you can say, well, you know, the treasurer made a mistake and they're a volunteer. But if the candidate is the treasurer and a mistake is made, it can be much worse. It's like, why should we elect them to office? They can't even handle their campaign finance documents. So you want to insulate the candidate from that. So find somebody who's willing to be the treasurer, who's responsible, and ask them to be the treasurer, and then you'll fill out their information here. And then it's going to be the election. Which election is it? You'd check this one, other election date, and that would be May of 2023. The office you're running for, the district position, county or city, the position number, whatever applies. You don't need to worry about this unless the party, Constitution, Green, Republican, Democrat. For these positions, they're nonpartisan, so you don't need to check any of them. You just check nonpartisan position. Because for these local races, you do not run as a member of your party. You run as a nonpartisan person, so check nonpartisan position. And then director information. If you want to have another director on your PAC other than yourself, you put that information here, but it is not required. Note that it is optional. And so alternate transaction file or information. Usually this is blank because your treasurer will file transaction information if it's needed. Otherwise, you can hire people. There are people that for a living do campaign finance compliance work for candidates and make sure all the transactions are properly filed. For these local races, you probably won't have somebody like that. Your treasurer will do the work. So this is completely optional. And then this correspondent recipient information. If it's a person other than the candidate or treasurer, this is somebody you might want to receive mail that is sent. But again, this is optional. You don't need to fill that out. Other election activity, complete these if the candidate will be supporting measures, other measures and candidates, or opposes other measures and candidates. You know, you're probably going to leave this blank because you're just going to be running for office. Okay, now here you've got the campaign account information. You're going to have to get a bank account. So go to your bank and ask what they need. Some people will let you own, or excuse me, some banks will let you open an account using your own social security number. Others will require you to go on the IRS website and get what's called an EIN or an employee identification number. Let me look that up real quick. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share the screen again. Okay, here you can go to this specific address and you can get an EIN number. It's very easy to do. You can get it online. It doesn't cost any money. And typically, I pick nonprofit organization. That is one way you can get an EIN number. I have to point out, you know, legally that I am not an attorney and nothing I say here is to be regarded as legal advice. But if your bank will not let you open a campaign account with your social security number, some do, some don't, get an EIN number. It's very easy to do. And that separates your finances from the bank anyway. And these are all things you can do to get ready to run for office. You know, before you have to actually, you know, when you're busy and when you're actually filing your documents and you're putting out a press release about your race, and you start setting up opportunities to speak and set aside time to knock on doors and work with volunteers. You don't want to have to mess with this stuff. So get it done. This is a really good time to get it done. So yeah.
On the early part of that first 220 application where you're picking the position that you're running for,
Yeah.
If you were going with the philosophy we talked about at the beginning, where there's a couple that you're eyeballing, if you leave that part blank because you're not sure which one you'll land in, is that a problem? Or you pick one and maybe you run for the cemetery board when you originally filled this out, will that stay active if in 2 years you run for a different position with that same PAC, or do you need to start a separate PAC?
This just says that you're forming a PAC to support yourself. You don't have to close it at the end of the race. You can use the same political action committee for future elections. Okay. You can also use it to collect money and then give it to other candidates. From a political action committee, you can keep it open and run for something else in the future. You can donate money to a nonprofit organization. You can donate money to other PACs, but you cannot use it for personal use. You cannot, and once you donate money to your own PAC, it's gone unless you set it up as a loan. So that's really important that you be careful about that. You can also, if you don't know what you're going to run for, you could prepare several of these SEL 220s in advance and then just hand over the one you want and throw away the rest. A lot of different things that you can try there. Now, once you have a political action committee, you have to decide how much money you think you're going to spend in the calendar year. If you think you're going to spend less than $3,500, you can fill out this form. It's called a PC7. And I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to share the screen and bring that up. And this will be available for download as well. Okay, this one says that you think that you're going to spend less than $3,500 in a calendar year, okay, for your political action committee. And if you sign this form and turn it in, and here's where you're putting in the year you're filing, what the cash balance is as of January 1, the name of your committee, Friends of Callista Songstad or Songstad for Oregon or whatever you name it, and then the committee ID. After you get your campaign committee, they'll give you an ID number. You put that here. First name, last name, treasurer name, first name and last name. You sign it, the candidate or the treasurer signs it, and you date it. So after you get your committee from the SEL 220 form, you have the option to file this PC7. If you file this PC7, you are exempt from having to do campaign finance reporting. Okay. If you're spending less than $3,500 and raising less than $3,500 and you file PC7, you do not have to do campaign finance reporting. But it's good to keep very close track of all of your transactions and make sure you collect all of the information that the secretary requires, such as their occupation, who their employer is, where their employer is based, and then of course their name and address and those basic things. Because if you accidentally go over $3,500, or even if you realize you're going to spend more than $3,500, then once you go over $3,500, you have to go into the campaign finance reporting application and enter in all the information from the beginning. The good news is most local elections do not result in people spending more than $3,500. School board, it can happen. County commissioner, it can happen. City council and mayor, sometimes it can happen. But it very seldom happens for things like water board, fire board, park and rescue, mosquito control board, ham radio board, cemetery control board. All of the other ones usually spend less than $3,500. So if you have a PAC, a political action committee, and you file PC7, as long as you spend and raise less than $3,500, you don't have to worry about the reporting. We'll deal with that in a separate training. But anyway, that is really good to know, and it saves a lot of work. Now, one wonderful thing about forming a PAC is that if you form a PAC, you may then solicit contributions to your PAC using the Oregon Political Tax Credit. You'll want to look at the Oregon Political Tax Credit. Not everyone's eligible for it if your income is high. We'll see what the legislature does about that. But right now, let me see if I can find that real quick. The Oregon Political Tax Credit lets eligible taxpayers take a tax credit of up to $50 for donating to a political action committee or on a joint filing. They can take a tax credit of up to $100. That's basically free money. That's redirecting money that would go to the state, and it goes to your PAC. So there it is. Okay, it's open to all taxpayers in Oregon making under $75,000 per individual or under $150,000 for couples filing jointly. And that is taxable income. So you can go to someone and say, hey, I know you support my campaign. You'd like to make a donation. You can donate up to $100 if you're filing jointly to my campaign and get it all back. Well, how do I get it all back? Well, when you file your taxes next year, you can take the Oregon Political Tax Credit. And if you owe $100 in income taxes, now you owe nothing. If you owe nothing, you'll get a $100 refund check. That's how it works. And it really makes it a lot easier for people to donate money to small campaigns. So let's see, am I still sharing the screen? No, I'm not. Okay. So that is one of the best things that you can do to prepare for your campaign. Get some professional photographs made of yourself using business attire. Okay, get a couple of different photos. Now, one, if you are in the voter pamphlet, depending on what county you're in and what race you're running for, you may be able to put a statement in the voter pamphlet for a reasonable fee. And if you do, you can provide a photograph. And this can be digital. It's printed in black and white. If you provide it in color, that's fine. It'll come out in black and white. Have a photo made of yourself with a plain background, and make sure you don't have any insignias showing. Make sure it's business attire. So no American flag pin, no military service pin, or any symbol at all. And in the background, no American flag or anything, just a plain background, because there are specific restrictions on what can be in a voter pamphlet statement. They don't want there to be any, hiccups. I don't want there to be any implication, or they don't want there to be any implication that you're being endorsed by any government or business or entity. They want a neutral photograph for the voter pamphlet statement. And if you have any of those things in your photograph that you submit, they will airbrush them out, and they will charge you for it. So make sure you have one good photo like that. Then you can also do a number of other photos. Have one with the American flag in the background, or an American flag on your lapel, or something like that. Have one with your family. Have one with your dog. A couple of things like that, because you can use all of those for social media and website. And if you decide to print flyers out and hand them door to door, those are all very valuable. It's good to have a photo that's suitable to give to your newspaper or bloggers or podcast people, anybody like that. So have some professional photos made. Don't mess around with it. Hire a professional photographer whose work you like, and get that ready to go. And you'll be surprised at how useful those photos are. You can use them for all kinds of things before and afterwards. Start putting together campaign content. That includes your campaign biography, your background, some issue pages, and some calls to action, things relevant to the race that you're running for. This is going to be important when you build a website. This might be important when you write your voter pamphlet statement. What are you going to put in there? You usually get like 325 words. There is a separate form for the voter pamphlet statement you'll have to fill out. if you or decide to publish one. And that form can vary depending on the county and city that you're running in. We'll deal with that as the election gets closer. But those are some important things you can do. Another thing you can start to do is start asking for help. Start asking for volunteers now. Go up to people who you think will support you, family or friends or coworkers, anyone that's got some spare time, and say, look, I need some help. I'm running for office. And if you support me for office, I need a treasurer. Treasurer is the most important one. Get that first. The second thing you're going to want is a campaign manager. The next one that you're going to want to get is a field director, somebody who's going to, look for folks, get folks together, walk the neighborhoods, hand out things along with the candidate. And another position that you're going to want to get is a digital presence manager, somebody who's going to be responsible for maintaining your website, maintaining your Facebook page, your Instagram page. Now, you don't have to do all of these things to run for office. In a lot of places, all you have to do is fill out the Form SEL 220 for a PAC. And then when you actually, there's one more form I need to cover. Oh, that's not it. Let's see, looking for the. Yeah, that's not the one. There's another form you're going to have to file, but you don't need to worry about that till later. So I'm going to cover that in a subsequent filing. And these are the ones that actually say what you're running for. The first one that I showed you, the SEL 220, forms a political action committee. But there is another form, another one-page form that will actually be the one that files you to run for office. And I bring that up because if you want to run for office and don't want to do anything, you don't have to do anything more than that. Just file that form, hand over your $35 filing fee or whatever it is, and you're a candidate. Your name will be on the ballot. If you're running unopposed, you will probably win. But that is a wasted opportunity. Run for office, be a candidate, form a PAC, raise money, spend money, run a campaign, build a team, do all of those things so you get the experience of running for office. You'll be amazed at how effective all of this is. So with that, there are some other things you'll do afterwards. We'll do additional trainings on these. We don't have time to do them all today, but working with your campaign manager, you will want to have a written campaign plan. Don't make it up on the fly. If you're going into business for yourself, if you're forming a new small business, you're going to want a business plan. And if you go to a bank asking for financing and you don't have a written business plan, oh, it's all in my head. I know what I'm going to do. They're going to laugh you out of the bank. Likewise, if you're asking people to donate to your campaign, they will be much more impressed if you have a written campaign plan. A written campaign plan can make the difference between, oh, things are a little tight this year, I'll have to try me another time, and getting a $100 contribution. It can make the difference between getting a $100 contribution and a $1,000 contribution, depending on who you ask. And with regard to time, having a written campaign plan can be the difference between someone saying, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll help, I'll think about it. And someone saying, oh, you've really got your act together. I see you're serious about this. Yeah, I'll help you out. It just makes incredible sense to develop a full campaign plan. Assess yourself as a candidate before choosing to run for office at all. There is a training that we have on that, and I will post that as well. There's a little training on how to assess yourself as a candidate. Talks about things like making sure your family is behind you. Have you run before? Who are 3 people that'll help you get elected? Who are 3 people who will try to defeat you? And I'll have that form up as well. But these are just some basic things that you can do that will help you be successful when it comes time to file and time to run. And so that is my training for today. Are there any questions?
So there was what you said, there was a form that you would fill out besides the 220, and if you didn't do the full protocol, which you should, but
Yeah.
you just filed this certain form at the office, that's that's how you actually file to run. What is that form called?
I'm looking for that one. That's the form. It's called the form to file for office.
Form to file, okay.
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking for the SEL 110 on that. If you can be patient with me for a moment, I'll tell you exactly what that is.
Okay.
Let's see. 2021. I don't have it here. Let's see.
That's okay. I can look for it too. So, but the proper order would be to start with the 220 that
Mhm.
forms the pack,
That's right.
and then the form
Candidate filing form.
PC7 if you're doing the under 35,
That's right.
and then an EIN to go to the bank, and then back to this file for office.
That's right. That's right. And I will have that. I will have that posted. Thought it was
Okay.
SEL 110, but that's for a minor political party, and that's a different thing. But I will post it alongside the recording when I put that up.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And so that'll get you started. That'll keep you busy for a little while. We're going to have trainings coming up on these weekly sessions on how to write a campaign plan, how to build a campaign team, all these things. And at the conference to be held on February 4th, a lot of those training sessions are going to be provided by former state legislators and other experts in their field. It's really going to be a good event. And if you go to the February 4th, I think you've already signed up, Callista.
I'll be there.
But for those who are watching the recording, this February 4th event, you can sign up for at the westernlibertynetwork.org webpage, is going to give you what you need to be successful in 2023. So are there any other questions you have, Callista?
I don't think so. Thanks for your time.
Okay, with that, thank you, God bless, and we'll see you. Well, next Saturday is Christmas Eve, so I think we're probably going to skip that one. But you folks have a wonderful day. Keep an eye on the westernlibertynetwork.org website, and you'll see when the next Saturday training is, and you'll get other updates. Thank you very much, and God bless.
God bless. Bye-bye.